Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived because the Amateur Otaku is back and we are talking My Hero Academia. Because, guys, season 6 is officially over. We are now talking Core 2. We're ready to give our final take on Core 2 and season 6 as a whole of My Hero. A lot has happened. We really didn't get any break, which I think was great. I think because we got all episodes back to back. What a phenomenal season. I would say it's one of the best seasons of My Hero, in my opinion, at least. But we're all going to talk about it. We're all going to share our favorite moments, and we're going to go bit by bit. We have coverage for almost every episode of the Core 1 of season 6. So we'll make sure to put the link in the description for those episodes. But in this episode, we're going to talk about the entirety of Core 2. We are joined by the Amateur Otaku Crew. Mike?
I am here talking MHA. It's going to be a blast.
Jamie?
I am here talking MHA, and I think it's going to be a blast too.
And among us, Isaac Wolf.
I mean, I'm the biggest suspect in causing chaos. So this picture made sense.
Kick him out the ship, guys. Kick him out.
And straight from Shiketsu High, we got Cliff. What's up, Cliff?
Yeah, I'm back, baby. We here again.
Yeah, we are talking MHA. So, guys, I figure as we kick off this conversation, let's not waste time. How about we talk about, let's give it like a very simple thought. Like, what's your overview thought if you were to describe this entire season and then this core? What are your thoughts? Cliff, I'm going to start with you, special guest. If you were to rate or give your initial thoughts of how you feel about this season as it came to a conclusion, what would that be?
Emotional roller coaster is the best way I can put it. The entire season, favorite season of the show for me. Like,
Ooh.
I think it finally reached its fever pitch because from start to finish, I was enthralled. I was crying. I was laughing. I was nervous, anxious. A lot, and yeah, just amazing. I had a good time with this.
Isaac?
Mixed bag.
Okay. So, Jamie.
I would also agree with Isaac. I think it's a mixed bag. It started off kind of slow for me, in my opinion, and we were, the heroes were making their plan to like invade the base, and we're kind of like waiting and waiting for that to happen. Then it finally starts, and even like that beginning battle for me in the first core, was like, it was good, but I was like, I could get a little bit more. I could get a little bit more. And then we start to pick things up as Deku starts to face off against Shigaraki, and like everybody's kind of teaming up and hurting themselves horribly. Some people died, which I was not expecting at all. But then the second core where we get to see like the aftermath, I thought that was where things really started to come together really nicely, especially with just like the history of My Hero and getting to see old villains, and we had some heroes unfortunately leave, but also get to see heroes that we've been hanging out with this whole time like step up into the to a greater hero role. I thought that was cool. And Dark Deku was something I was not expecting to see at all. So that was pretty dope. As someone who's not a reader of the manga, I was like, oh my. Like he's getting into his Sasuke a little bit. Okay. But yeah, overall, I think it was a really good season. Yeah, overall, I think it was a really good season. And I just feel like the next one is gonna be killer. The next season is gonna be killer.
Mike Thomas.
This is the second best season of My Hero Academia. Season 3, I think, is still perfect, but man, I kind of disagree wholeheartedly with Jamie's take on the first half of this season, where we just go. Like, it's just all gas, no brakes into that war. I think it feels a bit slow because we're following Hawks, Endeavor, and Mirako, and that's not who we're watching the show to see. So I can see where somebody may have that take of not being comfortable following these characters we're not that familiar with. But I feel like once the needle drops right and Shigaraki wakes up, it's just all gas from that point forward. I love a lot of the stuff we did with Deku. We've talked on the show a lot about how Izuku doesn't get a ton of focus in his own show at times. So I'm really glad Cour 2 we focused on Deku and his relationship with All Might and what it means to be the final wielder of One for All. I loved all the world building there. As far as things I disliked, I don't really like All for One for reasons we'll talk about later. I kind of wish the primary focus stayed on Shigaraki the entire way through. But outside of that, this is the Infinity War of My Hero Academia, and I think getting into this final act, right? I don't think he could have done it much better.
I think one of the biggest. I love that you brought the Marvel reference. Check. Um, I love how you mentioned the Infinity War thing, because when season 6 started, that's what I was always saying. Like, this is the Crisis of Infinite Earths moment in My Hero. It's the Infinity War of My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
It's that big of a conflict, of a moment, of a event, to the point that, of course, they're calling, like, you get that break at the end of, I think it's episode 131, where it says the final act begins. Like, you get that moment when you get that first shot of Dark Deku that comes directly from the new intro, Boku Raroba Eve, which, by the way, slaps. And towards the end of the season, you get like the reveal and you get the information that the final battle will begin in almost 3 days. Like, it's imminent, and they're calling it the final battle for what it is. So we know that we probably only have maybe 2 seasons left, I would say. And this is based on, I mean, us manga readers know what's been going on, but go, Mike.
And assuming, because no spoilers, but like if this series ends within the next 2 chapters, we're only going to get 1 more season. There's not enough material for 2 seasons right now. There's enough for a half season, but there's not enough for a full season.
I feel like that kind of makes sense with like non-manga reader speaking. I feel like that kind of makes sense with me just imagining, like we have 3 days until this battle, so we might have like a little bit of a training arc, or if Deku still needs to recover, maybe he'll hit up a hyperbolic time chamber or something. I don't know. And then we'll get into the battle. That I could see that. I don't know if like the main battle would last a whole season, but I could see it lasting for a good while. And then aftermath and like this is how I became the greatest hero moment, and then you close out. I could see that being a season. I feel like 2 seasons, I don't know where they would go, but I feel like I haven't known where they've been going this whole time, so it's possible. But I kind of agree with Mike and his guess of 1 season left.
It's funny.
I have to say that it all depends. First of all, it all depends on how, like you said, Mike, how many chapters we're gonna get after this. Because, well, if you guys have heard us talk about in the manga chapter, we are questioning, and Horikoshi said it's being done within a year, and just really, dude, we seriously doubt it. Yeah, it's sort of like a 2 years later, 3 years later kind of deal. But even with that said, we have to remember that some studios are doing. They don't necessarily have the same amount of episodes for each season. I mean, granted, there was some changes in between with Attack on Titans, but they had a bad example.
Let's not do that.
Let's
very much so. Let's not bring AOT in this.
No, I wasn't gonna say the final chapter, final season. I was going to talk. There was a difference in the episodes between season 1 and season 2. That's what I'm gonna say.
In terms of how many?
Yes, in terms of how many. It could just be as well as depending on how Bones approached this. That he said, okay, we will have a less. We know that we will have less episodes if we do this 2 seasons, but we know that we can give it some extra oomph if we put maybe, let's say, how many episodes is 1 season normally, Mike?
It's only 24, 26, which is what we got.
Yeah,
that's
26.
that's the one thing that
Yeah.
I don't believe
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen, because
But
Bones has been very consistent with how many episodes
Yeah,
of My Hero they
but
do every season.
for what we know, the kid said, effort. Let us see us allow the last part and give it some extra oomph, and give it some. I wouldn't say. Well, I love me some Bones, but they are not Mappa, if you catch my drift. But they give it. They put some extra push into the last part, and that's why they would do that. Maybe I'm overthinking about it, but I digress.
Well, you know what show does only have 13 episodes this season? Tokyo Revengers, which I just so happen to be doing shorts about on the channel, which you should check it out.
shorts.
The
Amy's
first
on
season was
fire.
24.
done.
So, this season only being 20 or 13, they had to pick things up quite a bit, which I'm kind of thankful for, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, how to do a shameless plug there.
The best
Well done.
podcasts are the ones that suddenly become TED Talks. Maybe the fact that I'm manga reader is part of the problem, because I think it's gone on break so many times that I think there's so much content when there probably isn't. Because I think that Bones does like 1.5 to maybe 3 chapters per episode, right? That's roughly what they do. That's like what they mostly do, right, Mike?
It's usually anywhere from 2 to 4. Usually 3 to 4 is the sweet spot for them. If they in this arc, the Dark Deku arc is the shortest arc in the entire series. So they dragged that out quite a bit to make it stretch a little bit. So
yeah,
because when you even think about it, Deku technically was only away for like a week from UA, really. So it depends. It depends on how the story's going. I will say, no spoilers, and I want to get back to actually talking about this season.
Yes.
This the next arc again has like a very quick pacing to it, so that we can go either way, where they kind of drag it out and stretch it out a bit more, or they just adapted 1 for 1 and it's a 14 episode season.
I did want to ask real quick for both the manga readers and non-manga readers, since I was talking with some of my viewers over on Twitch about this. How did you guys feel about the Dark Deku arc? Did you guys feel like it was long enough? Did you want him to like go darker, even though I don't even know where he would have went with that? But how did you guys feel about it? Me personally, I was just kind of surprised that this happened, and I was like, oh, this is a cool development for him. And I was cool with it. But what did you guys think about it?
Cliff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so for me, this Dark Deku, I actually like really enjoyed it, because again, I'm with you, Jamie. I'm not a manga reader for this show, so this was very surprising for me when it popped up. But at first, it kind of threw me off. But then, as more of the episodes happened, it's like, okay, I can actually see why Deku went down this road and why his costume is now, reaching this very monstrous aesthetic, I guess is the best way I can put it. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially with the situation being this dire. I can easily see Deku just pushing himself to the limit and just turning himself unintentionally into this very monstrosity of a hero to some degree. So I like it, especially since I'm not a manga reader, as I said earlier. So it was a big surprise for me.
I pull up the design because I think that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Like, I love the design, and one of the things that I feel that for me, the anime was had a lot more success doing than the manga is to show the deterioration of Deku's not only clothes but demeanor, and how his decisions and everything that he was going through is reflected in his clothes, but also then reflected in how people react to him. You know what I mean? Like the Deku that we know would never be okay with someone being scared of him. And that's clearly what you see in certain moments towards the end of the arc, which I love how at the beginning of that arc, his clothes looks amazing, but it's all clean. And when you get to this point, it's like, buddy, it's
You look like Dark Shadow almost.
yeah, there's a little bit of that. And a little trivia, this was always designed for Deku. Always. But the reason why a lot of people talk about Batman when they talk about Dark Deku is because the original intention of Horikoshi was that Deku was going to be a Batman-like hero. He would always be quirkless, and he would be working with tools, which is why I find the vestige note when he says, think about all these quirks as tools. He just simply went a different route.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's one of those little inside things that I've read that it's so like, ooh, that's.
He's even got the ears.
Yep.
Yep.
He got the eyes, like the darkness with the light on it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I do say have to say that it felt better here in the anime than in the manga. I can't really tell why. Maybe it's because I thought it flowed better or something. Maybe I have to admit that every time Deku was on the screen in that outfit, all I could do is singing na 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 Batman. Yes, I do sheer. Well, you know me.
So at the end of so Cour 2, right? So Cour 2 literally picks up at the end in the aftermath of the Jakku City incident, right? Everything that transpired with the Nomus, with the high-end Nomus, with Shigaraki, with Gigantomachia, like that whole debacle, right? And I love how this show took its time to really dial down on how it broke Hero Society from all angles. And I've always said it whenever we talked about the manga that these are my favorite things of My Hero, because I love how as Deku matures, even though it's been 2 years, 1 year, Mike.
They just got into their second year, even know who their new teacher is.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So
Here I thought it had gone just a week.
So I love how it goes from the doe-eyed version of what Hero Society is that we see in the first episode of My Hero to really going into the cracks that have always been there and have been hurting people and marginalizing people, and like the people that were actually being heroes and those that were just being there for profit or for fame, like how it broke all of that down to the point that the whole tragedy and media scandal that Davi has created by revealing the truth of who he is and everything with Endeavor, to me was just like that's what, to me, that's awesome, because it stands to the fact that Horikoshi wants to talk about what true heroism is, what true heroism isn't. And he's just dissecting those ideas and those philosophies, and he's doing it throughout the show, which from the start of it, you would never imagine that he's going to go that route. But then when you get Stain, and I love how he's bringing all those things together, that he's been planting seeds everywhere. And this is like the second half of the season. This core is literally where you start seeing everything that Horikoshi has set up throughout the entire series come to light. And I think it's awesome. Have you guys been enjoying seeing all this develop. I mean, it's horrible for Hero Society because it's really bad. I'm not saying like, oh look, it's coming down. But like, but how have you guys enjoyed this turn?
Definitely. I definitely have. I really like that. I don't know. World building for me is super huge. So to get to see like these events keep on building and building on top of each other to the point where now, the hero society is broken and the people have lost faith in heroes. And even at the end of this core, where, Deku, he just wants to rest so that he can then go back out and save more lives. And people are like, we don't want him anywhere near where we sleep. Like, he doesn't need to be in this facility at all. To see that was crazy, and definitely just like, I don't know, my emotional response to the season was definitely much, much, much higher than it has been in like maybe the past couple. Definitely some tears. And I'm like, oh, Deku, like, oh no. But yeah, just to see how this society has, not even just from the civilian level, but even the villains, and how like they're putting their perspectives out there. And it's not just like, staying talking about what a true hero is. But even some of the villains that we saw, they were fighting with Shigaraki, talking about like, would a real villain like kill my best friend? Like, is that what being a hero is about? Because if so, you're no better than me. Putting those like thoughts, like that food for thought out there is also really interesting. So that's some of the best best parts of My Hero for me as well. I agree.
Cliff.
I think for me this season, I needed this season. Like, I needed it bad, because to be fully honest with y'all, majority of this show, it was just entertaining for me, but it wasn't anything where it's like, oh, I need to watch this show. I need to stick with it. I need to, pay attention to what's happening with these characters. A lot of the time, each season, I was just like, oh, cool. Deku and Class 1A are getting into some stuff with some villains. A couple of the top 10 heroes pop up, and then we just rinse, wash, repeat. We take a couple second half of the season to relax and all that stuff, and we go from there. But this season, from the action, and then from just the like numerous amounts of emotional like beats that happen in this season, it finally gave me what I wanted from this show, which was, again, just great action, but also you like a very anxious and just a very anxious feeling of like, I don't know what's about to happen next. Like, we're at the peak of this show's story, and everything is up in the air. Everything can be destroyed, So for me this season, I really needed it from every angle. Like Jamie said, with even the villains sharing their thoughts and ideas about what a hero society is, to then the Class 1A finally even more stepping into their roles of becoming heroes. It all just works. And plus, Dabi and Stain are my favorite villains in the show, so I got everything I wanted in one season.
Good
I can't complain.
So what you're trying to say
Smorgasbord
that
buffet.
while we were all feeling Endeavor as he's crying, you're like, go Dabi.
I was happy.
Go.
Mm-hmm. Literally. That was me the whole time. Yes. It was like, get him. Like, go after this man. Because for a while, Endeavor was just, again, very messy. Like, when Dabi did his whole performance, I was enthralled. I rewound the episode to be like, yes, give me this performance. Give me this Oscar-winning performance, because no other villain in the show has gotten this theatrical yet. Like, this is what I need, sir. And the fact that you've been holding this for like however many years, thank you. You decided to do this at the perfect moment.
Yep. Mike, what you got?
What's the question again? Like, what's the original question?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
I love this. What is your reaction and your thoughts on Horikoshi honing into the effects of a broken hero society on society? Like, how this season literally is the place, especially Core 2, the place where everything that Horikoshi has been hinting at throughout the series, how this is where all the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. So the thing that I love about My Hero Academia is not just it being a fun, shonen anime. That's cool. What I love about it is that it's also an analysis of what superheroes are. From Marvel, DC, all that stuff. The Horikoshi's entire purpose with this show is to say, what is a hero? What does it mean to be a superhero? And how would the world react if they actually existed and were a part of society? That's something that Marvel and DC don't really touch on. Like, we see Superman and Batman's perspective, but we don't see how the world reacts to Superman and Batman's existence very often. My Hero is basically like, hey, heroes exist, powers exist. This is what that world would look like, and this is what it would look like if someone didn't have power. And we see that through the eyes of Deku, right? When he's first introduced, he's quirkless and he's depressed because he is quirkless, and All Might gives him that one shot to become a hero. And so we see throughout the series Deku getting stronger, understanding what it means
Deku is Hamilton.
I guess, sure. That's not a checkbox I thought we checked today, but Hamilton reference. Ding. Wasn't by me, not my fault. So we have Deku learning how to become a hero, right? And over time, the show, like, one thing I love about MHA is that it's faster paced than something like Naruto or Dragon Ball, but it still knows how to slow down. So we don't get Shigaraki's origin till last season. And we're finally saying, okay, this is the failings of Hero Society. They built up what it meant, what All Might meant to the world, and how great that was. Right. But this is the other side of that equation. And so we kind of slowly build and build and build. And it all comes to head, like you were saying, in this season. So I when you watch it back, reread it, rewatch it, it all starts to click into place a little bit better because you know where the end goal is. It was just developing that world up until this point. 300 chapters into it, over 100 episodes into it. And so when we finally get here, we see Crack, right? We see Hawks kill twice. We see Hawks allegedly kill Best Jeanist. And that, again, raises the question, what should a hero do? And by the end of Core 2, we see that even Deku's vision of a hero that saves people, whose only mission is to help others, it still isn't 100% the way to go about it. And so I just love how we are kind of showing that there's no such thing as a perfect hero, and that a single person can't fight this battle alone. All Might trained society to believe in one person, and effectively he was wrong, because look what happened. All Might's existence creates Endeavor in a way, like, it wasn't intentional, of course, but like just the idea of I want to be the one guy creates Endeavor, who creates Dabi, which created all this turmoil later on.
Yeah.
And it's a very twisted when you think about it that way. And I think that's why this season for me works a lot, because everything we know about the show, the basic school shonen style, was kind of secretly hiding these deeper things, these deeper themes on this genre that I already love. So I'm very biased in that way. But I think seeing it all play out and seeing that the moral of the story is that Stain was right the entire time is crazy.
Yeah, and the interesting thing also is, I think one of the most powerful lines in this season is what Stain tells All Might, right? Like, this is a picture of society before All Might, because he doesn't call him All Might. He never does. He talks to All Might as a separate person, which I think is important for Toshinari Yagi's arc. I'm proud of myself too. So, but I love how what he says, that this is a picture of society before All Might came into the scene. And as soon as All Might disappeared, it's back to where it was again. So even though he did influence hope and change, it wasn't enough to fix what was already broken with society, right? And it's all part of, And it wasn't because he was a bad hero, but because
No.
he was only helping he was treating the symptoms, not the disease. Which I love is how he's helping the new generation to deal with the disease, which is the indifference, which is the idea that certain things are necessary for the image of hope, not for real hope and self and freedom and safety and all that stuff. Which again, kudos to Horikoshi.
Yeah,
Isaac,
I was
do you
going to
feel the
say.
same way?
Sorry.
Oh no, go Cliff.
Oh no, yeah, I was going to say to piggyback off of what you and Mike said. It's he finally shows the dichotomy that we don't get to see much in Marvel or DC.
Yeah.
You know, like we hit those beats, and especially with the movies that we get nowadays, like we definitely get those moments, but it's not as detailed, or nor do we get time to actually explore how long or how much society does like Iron Man or doesn't like Iron Man, or the thought of someone like Captain America just running around. We don't actually get to see that very often.
Yeah. How do you feel about those themes, Isaac?
It's what makes My Hero Academia so refreshing right now, because it sticks out. And the closest thing I can actually think of when it, granted, I haven't read some of the comics in a long time, but I know that we have mentioned it before, but it's sort of like X-Men that is arguably the big the comic that mostly cover the whole society, think of superheroes and all that jazz. And it is very much how should I put it? It's a refresher in comparison to everything else going on.
Yep. Now, the final act begins. We move further into the season. And I think the biggest thing about the final act begins and what starts as that Dark Deku arc is we got to talk about this, guys. The fact that the vestiges materialize and literally Deku is a walking Swiss Army knife and that he's constantly able to communicate with them and strategize with them. But I love how it's kind of like one way in the sense that they don't have power over his actions, because as we learn when he first starts talking to them directly, when they talk about the idea of saving or killing Shigaraki, which I'm glad that we get that, because we need that, especially as like we talked, as we continue to unravel all the themes that have been thrown out there. Because just earlier in the season, we just saw a hero take a life because he deemed it to be necessary when Hawk kills twice. So the idea that Deku's going the other way, and they're making a point to show that he's going the other way. So I love the idea of them being around and this being the new status quo. When you guys started seeing this, what was your reaction?
I mean, I I feel like, for one thing, I didn't know that he had that much control, I guess, to where he could use like pretty much all the powers, or at least be able to communicate with them without having to be like comatose, pretty much. So to see that, like, he's able to run around and use these powers and push his limits, I think just further added to like the Dark Deku saga for me, where I was like, oh, like he's really like developing not just like with his hero philosophy, but also with his abilities and being able to really defend himself and kind of proving himself in this role is like, I guess the debate for all for one. But yeah, getting to see all of them was pretty dope, and kind of almost felt like a father son Kamehameha situation. I was like, oh man, like the support, like I feel your hand on my back, like that's I don't know, that was really dope for Deku, and I hope we get like another moment like this where I don't think any of them really have like an ultimate, but let's make up an ultimate for the finale, because I want to see that. I want to see everybody like, yeah, hands in, like let's attack. That would be dope.
So Cliff, so we've known about this for almost what, like 2 years now, Mike? when you first saw
Yeah.
it, Cliff, what was your reaction?
Mhm. Okay, first things first. I love this council of, I guess one for all bearers is the best way I can put it. Honestly, when this first popped up for me, and this kind of ties into the later or the rest of the season, this is like a great example of just like this beautiful example of a sense of community for these heroes, especially with Deku. Just seeing how now he has all the previous bearers of all one for all. Now, but then he also has Class 1A. Then he also has just the citizens of Japan. Though they don't like him in this moment, they're giving him a second chance. And then when you like put that up against Shigi and how All for One is using him, it's just like, oh, Shigi, he's just a vessel. It does not matter at this point, like what he really wants out of all of this, because behind him is someone bigger and in far more control. And then like there's other heroes who have also disbanded and everything. So it was just very interesting watching this go down, or watching this Dark Deku arc, and seeing how literally this entire council are having multiple conversations and even trying to get two other bearers to be like, yeah, in order for Deku to be successful, we need y'all to come into this too. Y'all just staring at a wall for 2 episodes. We need y'all to get up whatever, get through y'all mental situation and come help out, because we got things to do. So yeah, so that was like the beauty for me for this Dark Deku arc, because then to see what happens with his classmates and how they help him out and like do what they need to save him. It's just, again, it's just layer on top of layer of just this great example of what it means to be a hero versus how ostracized you can get from society, I guess.
Now, is it just me, or again, benefits of animation, right? Because manga is black and white and shades of gray, right? I love how Deku is hanging out with the Power Rangers. like the way how
I'm so happy you brought up a Power Rangers reference. I was waiting to bring one in somehow.
wait. I'm not even trying. I'm surprised I haven't heard more puns, but I love the color scheme. I think it's pretty awesome, and I don't know, that stood out to me. That's why I picked this picture too, because you get them all there, and I love how as he's doing things, they pop up like from the side. I love how in one when he uses N's smoke screen and he's doing too much, you kind of see the vessel going, "You're doing too much again." Like, I love how they all have very distinct personalities, and I find that dynamic so fun. Now,
did they have an image like this in the manga? Because I know you were saying like they're definitely the advantage of this being animation, having all the color and all of that. But did they also have like a lineup like this in the manga or something similar?
Yeah.
It was just in black and white. So
yeah.
Didn't know.
This is definitely
like I'm still shook that smoke screen is purple.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's
okay.
funny because the second user's quirk, when he uses Fajin, when he uses that quirk, you can see that it's red, just like the vestige. I don't know why Black Whip isn't black with green, and they gave the green to Danger Sense, but and so we made a list of the users. I don't know. So you got the first user was Shigaraki, which we don't know. He only had one for all, right? You got the second user, which is like, if we look at this lineup, Shigaraki is all the way at the end in the white, and then we have the second user as the first one, all the way to, look at my computer, to the right. So all the way to the left in white is Shigaraki, and in blue we have the second user, which we don't know his quirk yet, because
can we stay on this right quick if we could, the third user right quick.
I'm gonna go.
I just want to
go.
Okay. For the third user, I just want to share some knowledge with everybody. For like a year, people thought he was a relative of Bakugo because they have similar facial structures, and he has like gauntlets on his arm. So people thought Bakugo goes back in time, and
you're talking about the
wow.
You're talking about the one with the scar?
Yeah, the
or
one
you're
with the
talking
scar.
about...
Yeah,
No, that's the
I can
second
see
user.
it now.
Isn't the second
That's the
user
second.
the one? Okay, well, anyway, regardless,
Yes,
the one who looks
that
like
one.
Bakugo, people
The one-
thought was related to Bakugo, and then the anime came out, and his hair was a different color. He has red hair.
Yes.
The manga,
Yes,
we
it
don't
was.
know that, so people just saw his face and thought Bakugo. No, it's hilarious. Manga's so funny.
Yes. It's all about the theories, bro. It's all about the theories. So second
I
user, we
mean,
don't know.
I mean, he could just dye his hair red if it goes or something
And
like that.
Talking
You can't
about
do it
theories,
3 times.
we have one that will die with his series. Like, I think it's just like trying to defend it.
What?
We
trying to defend
can't
this
dye
theory.
the hair again. We already did that with Dabi and Kirishima.
But hey, it's at least a more plausible theory than the all for one being Deku's daddy. But that's besides the point.
I mean, I think it's perfectly plausible that he has no relation to Bakugo. Like, I think that's the most plausible thing. But yeah, so you got the second user with the scar that we don't know the quirk. You got Fajin, which allows him to accumulate and store energy and release it in bursts. Which again, it's like a build. It's like it's
Black
this
Panther
version. Is
suit.
this anime's version of Kaioken? That's what it is. You have the fourth user, which is Danger Sense, which is the green. You have Daigoto Banjo, that's Hikage Shinomori. You have Daigoto Banjo, which is Black Whip, which is in the orange. You have N, which is the sixth user, which is in the smoke screen, which is the purple. You have Nana Shimura, which of course, float mechanic, right? Which is Shigaraki's grandmother. And then you have All Might, which was quirkless. And for some reason, my editor put that Deku's quirk is tear bending, which I think
He's
works.
a crybaby.
No, but I love
I
how
would say he does cry a lot.
I do
feel
love.
if you watch Tokyo Revengers, Crybaby gets completely redefined. I no longer consider Deku a crybaby anymore. You know, Deku he cries occasionally. He's fine. He's fine.
I love how you're surprised about all the reference that we've gotten, and you're the one person that I was not expecting to just sneak an Airbender reference there, but you still did it.
I didn't even have to. This entire arc is an Avatar reference, essentially. Really, like these are all his past lives, and he's calling on the powers of the Avatars. You know what's happening. You got
See,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it earlier, but his mask kind of blending into his hair. I'm like, that's automatically a JoJo reference because Jotaro's hat blends into his hair. They're referencing all the greats.
Everything's
Greatest
a
hits.
reference. So I love how much he's grown in power, but it did hurt me how he's estranging himself little by little from everybody, including All Might. Like that was, to me, that was like an emotional punch. You know, the fact that he kept separating himself from everybody little by little. But I love how tired he was and how horrible he was going through everything. He was still able to save the one person that was hired to capture him. And Isaac, you know who we're talking about. Who is this person? The lovely Lady Naga.
Woof.
Okay. So I guess
Isaac, I love you.
Now, I have to say she has one of the coolest designs ever, and the way the her quirk works is so fascinating to me.
See, for me, it's dope, but then it's also like slightly weird and maybe a little bit gross because I'm like, she just has a hole in her elbow all of the time. Like, that must be
And her-
uncomfortable. And like, she's bumping her elbow on everything. So, like, practically, I don't know how that works, but when it's in action, I'm like, oh yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I like that power.
I think it's
I
funny how my concern is more rather she has to keep pulling her hair out. That sucks.
That's true. That is true.
Did you
Yeah.
guys catch
a
the
lot of-
reference? Did you guys catch the reference in her backstory that when she was imprisoned, they cut her hair off? Because if you look at it, her hair right now is extremely short because it's had time to grow back. In comparison to how long she had the hair when she was a hero.
Yep. So she didn't have anything to shoot.
Yep.
Just shoot in the air.
Now, my favorite thing here is not just how Deku saves her, but her backstory, bro, and how it relates to all the themes, right? And I never understood. Like, there's a line where she talks about her successor. It doesn't occur here, but I never understood it till I watched the show again. And the idea that Hawk was her successor as a secret agent for the government, I found that very interesting. But when you guys saw her backstory for the first time, what were your thoughts?
She was a Ghost in the Shell reference.
Bro, I didn't see it. Yo,
Literally, while I was
Thank
watching this, I was
you.
just like, she's just Major
Yo.
Kusanagi. That's who she is.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't think about that either. That's pretty good.
Damn
see
it. That is so good.
She's
Yes,
also
she
a
is.
wanted reference because the bullets
Yes,
curve, and
her-
Horikoshi even said in the notes for the
Mhm.
chapter, he said, I watched Wanted and I love the idea of curving bullets. That's where she gets her power from.
Mm. There you go.
I respect this man so much.
Oh, and the bullet travels the way the wanted bullet travels from the sharpshooter. It's differently shaped, and the way it moves, and it does different things. I love the fact that she can load speakers to her bullets. I found that so interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do y'all think she also can like shoot from her knees and whatnot? Like, how many
Oh god.
specific like body parts or arsenal does she have? Because like
Like,
she
they
got
made
the
it
arm
meta
shots and
or
then like the
stuff.
elbow.
I hope
You know,
not.
exactly.
So
That's
I-
what I'm thinking. I'm just like,
I
But-
think she can do well. Her quirk is rifle, so like
Uh-huh.
that. I think that's it.
So only one arm can turn. I feel like it would be cooler because you know how like in like spy films or whatever, like you turn in all your guns and just when like you think they're done, they pull out like a gun in their ankle. What if she just like takes a knee and just like shoots you through her kneecap? That would be kind of dope.
That
But
would
at
be
the
amazing.
same
her knees
time,
like a
it's
shotgun or something.
that's yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know
It's
why.
the same problem. It's just there's a big hole in your knee now. Like I don't know. That's just weird. To
I
me
don't know
visually.
why. And this is gonna sound horrible, but as soon as you said that, Jamie, I'm like, wait, is she a fembot? Like from Austin Powers?
Oh lord.
Because I mean, if we're getting
I
weapons
wasn't
from
expecting that
everywhere-
reference. But
I
I'm
don't
so
know.
happy
This is-
Brendan mentioned that.
I'm sorry,
Throwback
but I mean, the
reference
knees,
right
the
there.
elbows, the armpits.
Okay. Take a step back, butter.
I'm just
Like,
They
literally,
so bad when
is she
Isaac's
just
the one saying slow down.
like literally? It just seems like she's just made up of prosthetics essentially
Yeah.
to some
if
degree.
it were that way, but it's not.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's not. Damn it.
Unfortunately.
But I grabbed this shot that I found because it literally shows the entirety of her quirk in function. Right
Mhm.
now, she is our way in to the understanding of how corrupt the intelligence agency for Hero Society was,
Mhm.
and in the sense of she would take down. She was a hitman. That's pretty much what she was.
Mhm.
But more importantly, it was all for the good of society, and everything that she would do would have a cover story, which I found that very interesting. Even when she rebels against the safety commission or whatever, that she kills her director. She pretty much kills. What was the name of that guy? Alexander, the one that Robert Redford plays in Captain America: Winter
Pierce?
Soldier.
In Winter Soldier,
Yeah, it's
Alexander Pierce?
she literally shoots Alexander Pierce in the face. But they say that she goes to jail because she killed another hero. Not because she was questioning what was going on. And the only reason she killed that guy is because that guy literally said that they're going to take her out. That's literally what they said. But I don't know, like the whole post-traumatic stress of it, the trauma, like when she sees the kids and sees her hands, like this is one of the most heartbreaking backstories in all of anime, I gotta say.
She's like Nagant and Hawks are essentially confirming that a Task Force X idea exists in this world, and again, just kind of reiterating what does it take to keep society functioning, and again, going back to how this is just an big analysis of what superhero comics are. The idea that Rick Flag draws a line, right? He's like, there's one line I can no longer cross. And that's essentially what her story is. And I think Nagant for me is so fascinating because she's only here for like 2 episodes, but she had some of the biggest impact on me as a reader and as an anime watcher out of any character in this entire series, because I think one thing that I really loved about her arc is that Horikoshi just said, yeah, we're going to have a spinoff for a couple of chapters or for a couple episodes, right? And we're going to focus on why Hawks is the way he is and that entire organization and why this entire thing blew up in their face in the first place. Because if Hawks wasn't a super secret agent and this entire organization didn't exist, things may have played out differently. And then her being, this is essentially the Naruto arc for Izuku, right? Like her being the one he talked no jutsus out of a fight, I think is very fascinating. And like the shot that Brandon has up on the screen now, we've got Overhaul in the corner, and I think again that just reemphasizes Deku's humanity in a way too, because he could have just said, I'm going to kill Overhaul, I can't stand this guy. But throughout this entire ordeal, I believe in second chances. I believe in redemption, not just for Nagant, but also he gives Chisaki a chance as well. If he takes him up on that, we don't know, because his first instinct was, oh yeah, I can torture Eri again and get power. I hate that guy. But still, I love this arc.
Yeah, and I love the idea of the whole Taka no Jutsu thing. It also shows that Deku has grown. Like he doesn't have the blindfolds anymore. He understands that there's certain things that shouldn't be the way they are. And he wants to be part of the change to make things better, which is why the Taka no Jutsu works.
Yeah, and I was going to say, to add to what Mike said about that arc, I think it also adds to Hawk's backstory and makes it a little more tragic because they recruited him when he was a child. We don't know at what point they recruited Lady Nagant. Like we can, I think.
No, they recruited her straight out of high school. I think is what it looked like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she has like a.
She was still a child in her flashbacks.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this time with Hawks they said let's go even younger, basically, with that. But and it's just very interesting. It's because again, it reveals like how willing the government in this society is willing to go to keep the peace, quote unquote. And I hate to bring this reference into it, but when I look at Lady Nagant and Hawk's situation, I kind of also look at it kind of like a Rick Flag and Peacemaker situation in the Suicide Squad movie, where like Rick he's reached his breaking point. Now he doesn't go as far as murdering Amanda Waller, but he's just like, no, I'm not about to continue doing this. I'm not about to hurt the American people or at least the citizens of this country anymore. But then with Peacemaker and Hawks, they're like, oh no, this is necessary. So even if I have to kill you, Rick, I'm going to take care of that and do my job basically, because this is what a hero does. We get the job done for sake of saving humanity and keeping society going and moving forward. So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah. And I guess just to piggyback off both Cliff and Mike, this section, like I definitely agree with Mike, has been our Nagant story has been the most impactful to me, or at least most impactful in recent times for my hero as far as backstories go. Just because we get to see not only a little bit of context into like how Hawks's story, I guess, started or I guess developed to an even worse place than it probably could have been. But also just the fact that we see someone who's gone from hero to villain and kind of like realizing that and kind of thinking themselves as a villain before like she officially made that transition, and just like there's blood on my hands and kids are like running up to me and try to take pictures and autographs and stuff, and I don't deserve any of it. So that was really interesting to see. And hopefully she recovers if they haven't confirmed she's dead already. But hopefully she recovers because I think she's a pretty interesting character. The elbow gun thing though, that's still weird. That's still weird to me.
Fembots. Every time you complain about it, I'm like fembots.
Like it's so
Nah,
cool,
I'm
but
just
it's
leaving it
ugh.
there.
I'm imagining it on my own body, and I'm just like, I would hate that so much. Like you could never wear a long
And the
sleeve shirt
precision is
ever.
kind of weird too. Like
Yeah,
this is not comfortable.
it's not. It's really not.
Also,
Like,
like the what is it? The blowback from that much force is like, how does that not break her arm
yeah, just
or shoulder? You know,
She's just
But
built
again,
right.
true. She's
Mm,
built different.
you're right.
You guys know it's
I'm
retractable, right? I feel like we're forgetting it's
Is it?
retractable.
Yeah, she does it multiple times.
Yes.
So
That's
she
true.
puts her hand like this, and like there's a hole in her hand. That's how she loads.
Oh, another hole.
Hmm.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, she's like the John Wick of this universe.
So
She's just finding any
True.
way to use a weapon.
Yes.
She even
That would be dope.
excommunicated herself from society.
her arm is fine here. See, there you go. If it makes you feel any
That's
better.
true. Okay.
I love how Mike is trying to be like, guys, chill.
Maybe it's like a
Imagine the
Wolverine
upkeep.
situation, you know, where like every time he does it, like it hurts a little bit. I imagine that would hurt.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned something at the beginning, Mike, and Isaac, I want your thoughts on this. But you mentioned how much you don't like or hate All for One as a villain, and I kind of don't agree because he's built that way for a reason, and it's that he's meant to be the ultimate evil. So for some reason Horikoshi thought the best way to do it, which I think is pretty clever, is that he writes All for One like a Bond villain. He doesn't write him like a villain that fits the world per se, but it fits the idea
This is
of what
if Lex Luthor and Joker had a love child.
not even that. I don't think he's anywhere near Joker or Lex Luthor. If anybody's close to Joker, is Dobby. And if anybody's close to Lex Luthor, we haven't seen a character like that. Apart from Overhaul to a degree in the way that he handled his business. But
Or
the
some
reason I
cynical
say that
version like Redestro.
yes, that's actually yes.
Definitely Redestro.
But when we pair up Redestro with Lex Luthor, Redestro's kind of a pussy. But but the whole thing is that the way All for One is built, he's like a Bond villain. Like that moment when they get to the mansion and the video plays and he's talking from his chair like, oh, I knew that this was going to be one of the ways that this was going to go. Da, 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 da. And then he gives the whole speech or whatever. But I like the idea that he's that cheesy villain, but Shigaraki, which is Deku's direct villain, right? He is one of the most complex characters. So I love how that balances out because All for One is like the idea of fear and villainy, and Shigaraki is just the person that we follow because that person is following that symbol, similar to how All Might is the ultimate symbol of hope, but Deku is trying to be the hope beyond what All Might was, to actually protect and save people from all to actually fix the problem, not just the symptoms. But yeah, I wanted to hear your thoughts, guys. Like, is he a Bond villain, or do you feel dissatisfied and want more from him?
He's just there to push Shigaraki forward. Let's face it. Because, or should I say, yeah, he's just there to push Shigaraki forward to some extent. Because if All Might had, let's face it, if he had killed All for One at that fight many moons ago, this whole war would more than likely never happen to that on that scale.
Wait, did
It
you
would
just
probably
call All Might Batman?
No,
Remember,
I
that's the
didn't.
whole argument. That's the whole argument. He doesn't kill his villains, so they keep coming.
Yeah, okay, I get what you mean, but I can understand why people don't like him because, and even arguably say that he is overstating his welcome because he is just there twiddling his thumbs, saying, "Oh, I have a solution to this. Oh, I have a solution to this."
No, but I get
This
it. Like the way he seems to always know what's gonna happen. Go on.
it's a bit too convenient, honestly. It's a
Again,
bit too.
Bond villain. He's
Even
Goldfinger.
Bond
Damn it.
will.
No.
Not even Goldfinger can calculate as much.
Just surprised Isaac.
I think
has
the best
a
way
Bond
to
reference in him.
What was
I
that?
think the best way to describe it for the Bond villain is it's like if you took the stature of Dave Bautista in Spectre, but then like put like the brilliance of Christoph Waltz or Goldfinger's characters. That's one for all. I guess
Yes.
that muscular, menacing dude, but is actually extremely intelligent and
Yes.
is 5 steps ahead of everyone else.
Yes. All for one. And he's super old too. He's probably like what, 80 years old or something. At least we're led to believe.
He's older.
Did I need his workout regimen then?
He's honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 200 at this point.
I never would have guessed.
So we're
that.
saying he's Vandal Savage, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But he's more
Perfect
charming.
comparison.
Though. He's a charming Vandal Savage.
I mean,
instead of the scar on the face, he has the whole disfigurate.
I'm fairly certain
Cliff,
that
you're
he
dropping
mentioned
these
that.
references, bro.
I'm fairly certain that he mentioned it in the anime already, but don't they confirm All Might's age at prior to this, Mike?
They've probably done it. I just don't know what it is. I know it's like 40, 50 something.
All Might's in his
like-
50s, Endeavor's in his 40s.
Yeah, and he was still grown up, as in looked like he could be in his 40s, 50s when he in the flashback with his brother. So, yeah, he is a Vandal Savage kind of age type guy.
What do you think, Jamie? Do you like this? Do you like All for One, or do you want more?
I like him, but I also feel like, he had his big moment already. So I kind of want to see more
Preach.
of Shigaraki. I kind of want to see more of Shigaraki and kind of like how he's going to have his big plan come to fruition. Because, up until this season or maybe these past couple seasons, Shigaraki's always kind of been present, but never really made himself known. But now, like, the world knows that he is a threat to be reckoned with.
Yes.
So I want to see more of him in the next season and like actually him, not just like him being controlled by All for One. And I feel like the other part of that is like I'm interested in this relationship that Deku seems to be forming with him, where he sees Child Shigaraki and how he's kind of like scared and he just like doesn't want what's happening to happen.
Yeah.
And it seems like things have kind of taken a turn for the worse, and Deku wants to still save him. Like he was talking with his council, and they're like, "You still want to save this guy? Like, what's wrong with you?" He's like, "Yeah, I still want to save him because that's what heroes do." And so I feel like that moment will be more impactful if we get to see more of Shigaraki. Because if he just shows up at the last minute, then it's like, yeah, you saved him, but we didn't really get to see the turmoil from his side of things. We only get to see like Deku's ambition.
So I think this is a good moment before we jump to I think what would be the last big point of conversation. The whole Deku, Dark Deku versus Class 1A. It's going to be like the big part of the last part of conversation. I think it's safe to say best moment to put this in there, out there. What will Deku saving Shiggy look like? Does he save him, but he dies? Not because Deku delivers a blow, but because that's just the way it ends up being. Does he get the Ozai treatment where he dies, he's defeated, ends up quirkless? Like, what are your thoughts? How does this end?
I never thought about that. I feel like maybe him saving him is just releasing him from All for One, and then Shiggy can decide from there whether he wants to continue down this path of villainy. Because I think at the beginning, when we see like his flashbacks, he wasn't really trying to be a villain. It's just he never got like that guidance and like correction in a like beneficial way so that he could grow positively. So maybe
He
Deku
wanted to be a
saving
hero.
him, right? Yeah. And so maybe Deku saving him could like help him see like, oh, there is still a chance for me, like there's a chance for reform and all of this.
So
Or
Naruto Sasuke thing.
yeah, so possible Naruto Sasuke. Or it could just be that he gets released from All for One and maybe becomes weak and gets arrested or something at that point. Or quirkless, like what you said. I feel like those are the two big possibilities as to how it could end. But honestly, I have no idea.
Cliff.
I think he's gonna die
Ooh.
because I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about how all of this is going to wrap up, even when it comes to the Todoroki family as well. But specifically for Shigaraki, I think Deku is going to save him in some way after they're done fighting by having some conversation or something. Even to the point where Shigaraki probably also gets to talk to his grandmother as well.
Yo.
But after
That'd
that,
be cool.
I think One for All is going to kill
No.
Shigaraki because Shigi's no longer necessary by this point.
That does sound like how
At
it
least
would
that's what I
end.
think, but I don't know.
See, that's what I don't
You know,
want. But I see you.
Hmm.
I see you. I
That
see what
sounds
you're getting
anime
down.
to me. Yep.
Isaac.
Yeah, it's just something that I was trying to figure out.
Isaac, what do you think?
Hey, Darth Vader him.
Darth
Okay.
Vader him?
So he does the big heroic thing at the end. Which is funny. Decay being heroic. And then he just so he pulls like a T Titans. He does like a Terra and like
Oh,
helps the Titans
Terra.
escape and
Is this after he kills All Might?
damn.
Ooh.
So I
I'm
have
sorry
this
to say, I feel
theory.
like some of these heroes have to die.
Yeah, All Might's probably gonna die. Especially now that he's like,
See?
oh, I need to be a hero again. He's definitely going to die.
So you see that? You guys dropping these ideas. I tweeted this I texted this to Mike the other day. It's like, what if Ares able to rewind All Might?
I thought
And-
about that.
And All Might, because Ares rewinds a person within his own timeline,
Mm-hmm.
he goes back to having powers.
I thought
But
about that.
that's how All for One gets One for All.
Oh, actually, you know what? They both had One for All at the same time, All Might and Deku. So I guess that wouldn't be an issue. I don't know. That's weird. But I did think about the fact that Eric could rewind.
Cliff, your face, bro, your face.
I never thought about that because my whole thing, I was like, I was under the impression that All Might was never going to get his powers back. Like, the last time he transforms is the last time we will ever see this man alive in any capacity.
Yeah.
So if there's
Yeah,
a chance for
probably.
him to at
That's
least come
it.
back for however long, I'm cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Mike, how does this end?
Spoiler.
I
Tell us
guess
what happened in the
we're gonna have
manga.
to That's the thing. I did the math. The manga is only 50 chapters ahead of where the anime ended. So there's not much for me to spoil. But
what's with all the changes, Isaac? What is going on?
I don't know. For the audio, there's Isaac's changing his
What is
profile
that?
picture like every 5 minutes, and we've just been ignoring it. But yeah. So
I feel like this is his way of reacting visually.
Fair.
I guess these are his reactions. I think we just have to take a look at what the story has done this to this point, right? Deku is Naruto. He has related to the power. He's now befriended the power, and Kurama, right? The one for all users are Kurama.
I just saw the Kurama reference.
All Might's pervy sage, except he's not pervy, thankfully.
Right. Exactly.
At least not that we know of.
And we know what happens if you're pervy in this universe. You get mind brainwashed like Mineta.
Okay, yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that.
No. So, and then you have Shigaraki, right, who got Orochimaru. Like, this is essentially what Sasuke would have been like if he didn't kill Orochimaru. So, I kind of.
So you're saying One For All is going to take over Orochimaru, basically.
Probably. That's the thing, right? Like, he's gonna use him as a vessel and be like, "Hey, I need a younger body. The doctor's missing. He can't keep me young anymore. Bye bye, Shigaraki." And Deku say him. It might be them having to work together to stop it, and then he ends up Darth Vadering. Like, so I think you all have a point.
Do you think there's a possibility that One For All, or no, All For One takes over Shigaraki's body, and then like Deku somehow is able to connect with like his consciousness again and like bring it into his heart, and then pull like a Kingdom Hearts, like My Friends Are My Power type beat? Do you think that's possible?
The power of friendship.
Well, here's the thing: like the quirk is one for all, right? And we know that the entire basis of the power is pass on the power. So I would not be shocked if he passes the power to his classmates, and they all can use it at some point. And we know that all the users of the power are in the vestige world.
And again, it's a Naruto reference because Naruto shares his chakra with everybody.
Yes.
And can I ask one question?
Yes.
What if One For All dies first? Is that a possibility?
Like the quirk?
Where something happens where she just ends up becoming too powerful, or is able to regain consciousness of his mind and body. Yeah, and somehow One For All ends up dying first.
That's kind of what I want. I want something to happen where I always go back to this. I think it's one of the most fascinating examples of dreams and the power they have and how real big dreams can be or are. And it's the whole Chainsaw Man theory. If my dream of grabbing tits is bigger than your dream of eating me, I will win this battle. You know what I mean? Like,
this is what they talk about in Chainsaw Man?
Buddy.
I haven't watched the show.
No idea. You need to watch the show. Yes. Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
That probably sounded so wild that just now.
Brandon said that with such a straight face, and Cliff is just like, what the heck?
No, but here's the thing though. The math behind his solution is solid. Like, the people that really have a dream that they believe that they want are the people that really work to give their all for it. You know what I mean? Granted, he still loses the battle, but he gives his all. He dies. If he dies, he dies. But he does everything, right? So I have a feeling that Shigi might come up with something. What I want to happen is that All For One tries to do his thing, and he does get One For All in one way, shape, or another. But Shigi's dream to destroy everything. Because remember, All For One wants to rule it all. He's the demon lord or whatever. Shigi wants to destroy it all. And maybe rebuild something. Or he never talks about rebuilding. Actually, he never talks about rebuilding. He just wants to destroy everything. So what if his dream of destruction is so big that it overpowers All For One? And that's, I think that's to me, that's the only way it works, where he becomes really the villain of the show, and we can concentrate on just, and it kind of goes with the idea he doesn't need anybody, like he can, like, because in reality he doesn't try to save his crewmates, the League of Villains, but he hangs out with them because he feels he needs to. You know what I mean?
He could end up killing the League of Villains for all we know.
Yeah, like in his effort,
they're no longer necessary.
In his effort to destroy everything, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I felt that I think it was Jamie that threw that out there. I think there was a good moment to have this little theory thing, especially now that this season did a good job of setting them up, right? Of how powerful Shigaraki is becoming, how he's going to be that central threat for the world and for Deku, but also what Deku's intentions are, which I think, again, one of the most powerful things when creating a character is having a clear want, right? And a want that pertains to the story, not just to himself. So now we know he wants to save. He doesn't want to save Shigaraki. He wants to save Tengo Shimura. And it's great. Now, Mike, I think it's best if you lead this because all your responses when everybody would talk about Dark Deku against Class 1A, you had all the words and you had all the tears. You've read this already, but you saw it for the first time. Why did we need to see this?
First off, I have a whole video on my YouTube channel about how My Hero Academia uses music to manipulate our emotions, and that's in full force here when you say run kicks in. Go watch that video. But yeah, so what I love about the Dark Deku, the quote unquote Dark Deku arc, right? Because like we call it that, Deku's not dark. It's the same Deku we've always known. And I think that to me is the thing I love it is that Horikoshi never lost sight of who Izuku is as a person. And so him going dark is not sleeping because he wants to help as many people as he can. But I love
Groggy
this
Deku.
groggy Izuku, right? I also love how the rain makes his hair black, like the original design for Deku. He had black, not green hair, which I think is kind of a neat touch. But what I love about this arc is Bakugo. And I know Isaac hates Bakugo. We'll get to that in a second. But I feel like this right here justifies everything about Bakugo's character. Deku's out here being the vigilante, being the Dark Knight, essentially, right? Like, he's not even saving people with a smile on his face like he wants to. He's just getting the job done. And I think My Hero has beat us over the head with smile. Heroes are supposed to smile and be happy and reassuring. And we get to that point where Deku saves these civilians and they question if he can with All for One because he has multiple quirks. And we didn't mention that, but Lady Nagant also got a second quirk from All for One.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We have all that happen. Bakugo shows up, right? And Bakugo, first thing he does is he gives Deku a little crap because he's Bakugo, of course he does. But the first thing he really says to him is, "Are you smiling now, Deku?" Kind of like reinforcing that idea of this is
Can
not
you
the
smile?
hero.
Yeah.
This is not the hero you want to be. And what I love about the entire Class A versus Deku storyline is that the show hits every single relationship that Deku has cultivated over the course of the series, from Bakugo and Todoroki to Uraraka to Ida, Mineta, Asui, even Koda and Sero. Like you really realize that Deku has meaningful relationships with just about all of these characters, and that's something that some of the best shonen anime don't really do. Like, can you think of really any significant dealings that Naruto had with Neji outside of that one fight? Not really. Or, Naruto and Kiba? Not really. And so for My Hero to have at least a couple moments that they all like, hey, we have to go get our boy back. Him leaving a note individually, by the way. We don't know what they said to each person. I think was really, really cool. And then them having to work together to bring him back, but also seeing how powerful Deku is. Like, he's running at 5% power, essentially. And he's getting away from them pretty much with ease. And that just shows how powerful he's gotten up to this point, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because I feel like the whole point of My Hero is seeing Deku incrementally progress 5%, 10%, 15%, and all of a sudden he's at he tells All Might, "I'm as strong as you are." That kind of was like, that's a bit much. I don't know if I think we moved a little too fast, but that's
especially
okay.
after a year.
Did he mean weakened
Story,
All Might?
yeah.
Or I'm as strong as you are right now.
Throw me a punch, damn it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show me what you
That's
got.
all. Like this whole sequence is just great. I love about the relationships because one of the notes that I wrote here, which to me was like the most powerful thing, is it's not just the fact that he has a meaningful relationship with everybody, is that he's this is the moment where as a viewer you find out, oh, he's supposed to be the successor, like he's supposed to be the next wielder of one for all, right? He's supposed to be the next beacon of hope for the world, right? And in the state that he's in and the way people are reacting, you would think, oh no, he can never be that person, right? But the fact that the way that all of his friends are reacting to him and talking to him, it displays that he's been the symbol of hope for them. He's the one that's inspired them to be better. He's the one that's inspired them to be heroes. Like he has been that for them. And this is their way of showing him you're doing the right thing. But what's going on right now, you got to let us be with you. And that to me was like,
that sense of beautiful community.
yep.
I love all of the callbacks here too. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, adding to that, that entire Deku versus Class 1/8, not even a fight, just struggle, I would say. Like, not only do you showcase how important Deku's relationship is with every single classmate in dialogue, but also in terms of power set. It's just like, oh, this man has taken the time to make sure he hit every single person, and then to end it with Ingenium, the class president, being the last one to catch him. It's just like, thank you. You are
quoting
every emotional
what
beat.
Deku told him during the Stain arc.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Like that line.
Exactly.
Like that was just.
It makes you wonder, because I'm with Mike on like Bakugo being like one of the standouts in this moment. Because I thought it was going to end with him and Deku kind of struggling with each other for a little bit. But nope. And we all know Bakugo wants to be arguably the number one. We learned the reasons why in this arc as well. But seeing that final moment with him being able to team up with Shoto and Ingenium, it's just like, you're giving me supporting characters, moments of supporting characters, also kind of completing their own arcs as well, a little bit. And it's just like, again, it's just hitting every emotional beat, both, in every sense.
Jamie, you saw this for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction? Tear bending? No.
No tears, not yet, not at this point. But I was definitely it's a highlight of the season and for the series for me for sure. Just seeing, because I don't think a lot of shows like do what My Hero has done with this, where it's like, every little moment matters, even if we don't get to know these characters, these like side characters super deeply, like they all still matter to Deku, and really emphasizing that and saying like, like we're gonna have your back, we're gonna support you, like make the community like what Cliff said, and we're not gonna let you like tear yourself up trying to save the world. Like we can all do this together. That was something that was really awesome, and something that I almost wish the series had done earlier, possibly, but no, it was super cool to see like everybody team up and have their own little move. And even Mineta, anytime Mineta does something that like helps move the plot forward, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, this is insane. That having the moment with Bakugo and Ida at the end was also really dope, and quoting what Deku said to him many seasons ago. It was just a beautifully done moment, and it again, like what you guys said at the beginning, definitely felt like the Marvel's Infinity War kind of situation, where it's just like we have all this lore and all these characters, and we're finally getting to see them come together and like piggyback off of each other and try to make this big moment like even bigger. It was amazing. It was dope.
Isaac.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Deku? Bro, are you crying? Are you feeling the emotion? Is that what it is?
No, it just. I should have put it. How should I put it without sounding like an asshole? Well, I
There's
always
no
sound
way.
like an. It always sounds like an asshole, and well, I'm always an asshole. So what's the point of hiding it? But I think.
Bro,
I think. I think. I think the general idea of the whole them going through the whole their history and all that jazz with the Deku and how much they have meant to him, that hits, and that she just shows how much of an how much his how should I put it how much he means to them. However, and this is where I'm not on. I'm actually, and I could not care less about that apology with Bakugo. Honestly, I could not care less about that one because he
That's
is
fair.
saying. He has said, "I'm sorry, blah blah blah," and he goes. One of the first thing he's done when he is back to the school, he is still acting aggressively towards people like that. And I'm just, are sure he doesn't call him Deku, but I'm just, aren't you supposed to have learned something? Admit that you did something wrong. So I mean, and because honestly, for the Bakugo for me has been an obnoxious brat with anger issues. Honestly,
I mean, I'm with you.
He has the best arc he has done in the show or manga, in my opinion, is the thing that the how should I put it? There's League of Villains even. His behavior made the League of Villains even believe that they could turn him against the other heroes.
oh, so you're saying that the
And,
best thing that Bakugo has done in the whole series is get captured?
and
Is that what you're saying?
no, it's that the fact that he proved them wrong, even though, well, yeah. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Bakugo, and I'm never,
I kind of get what
probably
Isaac's
never.
saying a little bit. Because think about it, Bakugo almost died in the first portion of the season. And like we were hoping that would have been a very eye-opening moment for him. Maybe change the and to some degree he does. In the end, finally telling Deku how he feels and like why he was a bully, for that long, for all those years. But
Thank you.
yeah, I can see where Isaac's coming from. I understand you. I got you.
I guess my take on it is that Bakugo being abrasive isn't like a character flaw like it used to be. Like he has apologized, he's cleared the air, but he's still gonna be Bakugo. Like Raphael is still gonna be
That's his
that
personality,
has an edge, right? Like that's just who he is as a person, and there are people like that. So him apologizing is saying, "Hey, I admit that what I did here was wrong, and I'm sorry for it." But he's not going to completely, start acting like Deku or Shoto or Ida. Like he's still going to be the guy who calls people out and the guy who challenges people. He's just not going to, tell Deku to go kill himself like he did in the first episode.
Now,
I was going to say, arguably, that's what we needed in this end of the season. It's like we're going to need someone to be like, "Hey, I get it. We're all emotional, but we got a job to do. Let's get to it." So
I got a feeling. Yeah, I got a feeling that this particular take, not your take, guys, but this particular turn for Bakugo shows that he is because one of the things that I love about Bakugo is that despite of who he is and how he is brilliant. He is very smart. You know what I mean? So he understands
Top of the
what's
class.
going to get this done. Huh?
He's the top of the class. Like he's only
Right.
not class rep because he's Bakugo. But he's like the smartest person in the class.
Right. So he understands what needs to get done, and he understands that he needs to get over himself. And if the third greatest hero is able to applaud his success and his ability to be great, as Beth Genius can accept him, all I'm gonna say is I'm okay with Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. No, but it doesn't. But I don't think it takes away from what he did. But I get it. I mean, I can see it because one would assume that almost dying, him being the fact that he confesses to Deku that his body moved without him realizing, which again is a big thing, a big theme, because even towards the end of the season, we have that shot of Toshinori before he got One for All, talking about how he was the same way as he's remembered what it is to be a hero. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that he has that many dimensions to him, as opposed to just changing the character. That's me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best way to sum it up, I think, was that there's clear examples of changed behavior, but there's also clear examples of still him being who he is. You know, it's a give and take. It's not just gonna happen right away.
Yeah, for me personally, I do agree that I've seen like the growth that Bakugo has had, and I could see him being like, the unhinged brat that's like always trying to bully people, but I feel like we've moved so far past that. And for me personally, if there's any character where I was just like, why are you here? It's definitely Mineta. I love Mineta, but even still, it's him. It's him. I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
I still don't know how he got into the school, honestly.
He knows somebody, 100%. That's the only way.
His parent bribed the school. Let's face it.
So I want to, before we move away from this entire encounter with Class A versus Deku, right? I want to just acknowledge how smart Bakugo and the squad are, to where they use Deku's plan against him. We're in Kamino. We had to save Bakugo. And Deku says, Bakugo's not going to reach out to me if I'm the one who tries to go get him. So I've got to get his best friend to do it. Bakugo, in this instance, the exact same plan is like, I have so many things to say, Deku, but I'm going to let Ida take it from here. Ida has been Izuku's closest friend since he's entered the school. That was the first person he encountered outside of Uraraka. Also, I think it's hilarious how Deku confronts every character, but as soon as he sees Uraraka, he closes his eyes because one look at her, it's over. It's over. He folds. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take that, chippers. No,
He got that dog in him when Okusho pop up.
he got that dog in him. But yeah, man.
That's the next quirk.
So,
The next quirk is just barking.
Rizuku Midori.
Yep.
top
You
dog.
know something is wrong when I'm one of the most famous person in this recording.
Calm down, Arthur. So we do the whole Deku Class 1A. They try to bring him home. But the only way they can bring him home is by convincing the group of people that he's trying to save to let him rest in there. And we have Uraraka's big day. Now, this hit the same way that it hit in the anime, in the manga. And I think it's one of the highlights of the series, but it's also one of the highlights for the character of Uraraka, because I want to say she's probably one of the characters that's had the most growth in the entire series. And this is one of those moments where you see it. Because if you remember when we meet her, the person that we met in the beginning of the series is not the young lady that stepped up atop UA. Because if you remember, in the beginning, what was her dream? To become a hero and make a lot of money. like that was her thing. That was her goal. And then as she understood what it meant to be a hero because of Izuku, she's now at that point where she wants to be a hero. She wants to be the person that helps. And I love, and one of the lines that still gets me like, is like, please let him return to his Hero Academia.
She said it.
She said the thing.
She said the thing.
Yes. To me,
Credits.
that was like, bruh.
Credits roll.
Mwah. Mwah. That speech, guys. What were your thoughts on that speech? It was so powerful.
I feel like her speech was great, but what made it even better for me is the fact that like Coda and the lady that he had just recently rescued like stepped
lady.
up and are like,
dolphin lady?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what she is.
More
honestly.
of a fox, but for reference in the manga,
yes, she is.
She refers to her as ordinary woman. That's her name. Ordinary woman.
So Coda, an ordinary woman, walk up to Deku at a bar. No, but they run up to him and embrace
extras
him.
Go into a bar.
They try to reassure him like, yes, you are a hero and you're doing everything right, and we will be the ones to support you if nobody else does. I think that, I don't know, like we've never had a moment like that in the show either, where like, the citizens are now having to step up and support the heroes. We never really had the reason to do that before. Right. But it's still a show first where we get to see how these people have been impacted by what the heroes are doing and how many lives that they have touched. So that was also something that was like really great. That was when the tears started falling for me. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, he is saving people. But no, the speech, just that whole moment was awesome.
I have a question. Am I the only one that thinks that whole little flashback with Coda is Kohei calling Deku Jordan? And how much of an inspiration he is to kids? Because he bought them shoes.
he bought them Nike shoes.
He bought the shoes, but like Deku has a million kids. Like he's got Eri, he's got the 2 kids from the movie.
For a second, Coda, I was like, wait, Deku has kids, but then I got what you were saying. I was like, oh wow.
He's like, Batman. He's got all these strays, man.
Yep, he does.
Nah, that's Aizawa with all these strays.
Yes. Yo, the moment with Aizawa though,
bruh, dude.
Like my idiot.
I mean that whole like last 5 minutes is a great succession of just so many proud moments. Okacho stepping up and being the voice of reason for Deku and essentially all of the Society of Heroes. If we expand that speech to fit with All Might and even Endeavor to some degree, it's a beautiful moment. And then to add to that, seeing how the ordinary woman and what was the kid's name again? I always forget his name. Coda, yes, ordinary woman Coda, seeing how they react, and then literally we're doing that with All Might 5 minutes later. It's just, again, we're just reiterating how much people we're reiterating how much being a hero actually does good for people, and how just saving one person, that's all you got to do, just save one person, and that can cause a ripple effect of just,
and you're like resetting the stage.
Humanity.
It's like a reset button also, which works when you're heading into such a big arc or whatever it's coming. Isaac, when you saw Aizawa be proud of his idiot disciples, what were your thoughts?
I mean, can you blame him being proud? And it's funny how Mr. Pessimist finally is putting on a smile, or whatever you want to call him. I mean, I wouldn't call him the most positive teacher in the school. Maybe.
Yeah. So awesome. So he's able to take a shower, chill, kind of connect with everybody, rest. I think the last big moment is beyond Deku, beyond like once Deku goes back to the dorms, like that chapter's closed for now, right? The big thing is with All Might. Now, the fact that Stain is the one that wakes him up, and the whole thing with the lady cleaning the statue, bro. Like if there was ever a deep cut on anything, that's a deep cut. When he goes like, "Who is this lady? Oh, she comes in every other day, but who is she? She's the last person that All Might saved," and everybody's like, "Bruh."
Honestly, this is arguably, honestly my favorite part of the entire season. It's fast, it's simple, and it's effective.
Yep. I like her like bouncy ball or snowball quirk.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. Like blue, blue, blue.
Practical.
Yeah, I think it's quite
Those
interesting.
Vandals are persistent.
They are. She's persistent too.
hey.
She went out in the rain. Wouldn't be me.
And walked however far from whatever shelter she was at.
What was that?
I'm with you, Jamie. It couldn't be me. It could not be me. But yeah, and to
like,
add to,
damn, look what they did to All Might statue. That sucks.
Oh, well, I'm
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So McDonald's
Ain't got
is this
nothing
way?
to do
No,
with me. Exactly. Like, but yeah, that's very. It's such an interesting moment because again, Stain, arguably the most murderous villain to exist in this show. You know, we can toss in All for One and whatnot, but Stain, I think, is the biggest example of seeing how insane someone can go with their convictions, and then seeing him talk to All Might and telling him like, "Hey, what you've done has not only impacted everyone, but here I am even telling you like, yeah, you need to get back to what you've been doing all these years. Like this is how dire of a situation we're in.
Yeah,
where Stain is telling you like, hey, I'm gonna need you to step up. I might not care about what's actually taking place with society, but I'm gonna need you to step up because that way, once you're done, me and you can then fight, and I can dip out. You know, I can go on to do what I'm doing.
Don't send these kids in here to do a man's job.
Damn. No, and I love the idea of it wasn't just him. It wasn't just Stain preaching on a soapbox, right? I love the whole internal mechanics inside of All Might's brain when he goes like I actually gave up on heroism when Deku came to the picture. And then he goes like, but I'm missing the point. Like he went from someone that didn't have powers that wanted to save as many people as possible to someone that had powers and was able to do all that to someone that thought that wasn't good enough to do all that. And I love it coming back that way. It's just freaking, it's art, man.
Which, let me ask y'all a question real quick. Do you think Stain's going to join in the battle? Because I feel like he's that kind of character where he's going to do what he thinks is best for him. So if they find a way for him to join the heroes, he'll do that. If he ends up joining the villains, he'll do that. You know, he's that wild card, I guess. The best way I can put
but
it.
at the same time, I don't think he's that much of a wild card. I think more than anything, he is. I would compare him more to a force of nature. You know what I mean? Like, because he's not like pushing his ideals on people. What he's doing is this is what I think. You don't fit that. Die. like, but he's also like has reasons to do it. You know what I mean? So unless he's literally trying to take someone down in that vein, I don't think he's gonna step up in any way. I think because he doesn't consider himself a hero. Every time he talks about himself, he understands that he's hero killer Stain.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's the kind of guy that if he's not fulfilling his role, he's not gonna take a life or something. At least that's my opinion.
Could he become villain killer Stain by some chance?
Just killer Stain. Period.
Killer.
Right. And I'm just looking at Mike trying not to spoil
I
anything.
have a feeling that after all
trying to
this is
jump
over,
in, but again, something's weird.
I'm sorry. I have a feeling that whenever all this is over, he's gonna open a laundromat. Get it? Stain.
I mean, that's fair because that new, yeah, because he's staying in that new costume is clean. That's
Yo.
I thought it was
not dirty whatsoever.
So, my take: one, read My Hero Academia Vigilantes. It's a spinoff. Stain's in that. It's pretty cool. So I think he could help the heroes because knowing Vigilantes being canon and knowing his backstory there and like his motives and everything that we don't really see here in the main series, he thinks that there should be better heroes. Like that's what we've established throughout the canon so far is that if he deems you worthy, you live. If you're not, you die. I feel like if All Might asks him to do, because again, we're glossing over the fact that he wrote a fanboy letter to All Might. And we know how useful his quirk is. Blood curdle. Yes. Once he tastes your blood, you're immobilized for X amount of time. You know how useful that would be if he can slash Shigaraki and stun enough for Deku to knock him out. You know, so like I wouldn't be surprised if All Might's like, I need a favor. And this kind of goes back to a podcast Leo and Isaac and I did about the manga around the time of this arc, so like a year or two ago. And I was very adamant that My Hero Academia needs a Suicide Squad. So it's like, this is when you get Gentle Criminal and La Brava and Nagant and Stain and Hawks or whoever to be like the Black Ops squad while Deku and UA focus on one task.
And Tsukauchi is the Amanda Waller.
Yeah, exactly. Or even All Might. All Might could be the Amanda Waller. He's not, that could be his way of helping. And so that was an idea I floated out there. Then, Nagant blew up. So that theory kind of went to the garbage can. But that's an idea that I still think can happen. Just minus Nagant.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know that Stain leans on the side of the heroes. So I feel like if he were to help anybody, it would be the heroes. But I kind of see him just kind of like hanging at the back. And maybe if things just go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong and like nobody's left, then he might decide like, oh, I should probably do something. But I feel like until that happens, like he's probably just going to let this battle maybe act as a test for the heroes. Like, if you're truly a hero and worthy of the power that you're given, then you should be able to handle this.
And to add to what Jamie said, I feel like if Stain ended up partaking in this to any capacity, it's going to be at like the most random moment.
Yes,
it's going to be like the most random villain that they have him take down. Like they're going to find a way to somehow stop whoever is it. Gigantomachia. I always pronounce that character's name wrong. They're going to find some way to penetrate his skin. Oh, did I? Okay. Oh, let's go.
The sub and the name are two different pronunciations, so you're fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but like it's going to be something random like that where they're going to find a way to like drill through that like monster's skin and have Stain like stand like, all right, keep him busy. Stain, just make sure he doesn't move. That way we can take care of everything else. It's going to be something random like that.
Yeah, very interesting. I like this. You open my eyes, Mike. Everybody open my eyes. I still like the idea of the laundromat hosted by Stain.
See, I don't know. Your name is Stain, though. Your name is Stain. I'm not going to laundry that
Stain
needs
laundromat.
stain.
Stains.
Watch me somehow get
Stains,
everything
just like the
everywhere all at
heroes.
one story with Stain.
Welcome to Stain Suds.
Rakakuni, baby.
Welcome to Stainless. Stainless laundromat.
Yes.
I'm pulling this picture up right quick because I just want to talk about the theme of reaching out your hand to help others. And I love how that's just been in the imagery over and over again this season. And yeah, in our Core 1 review, I complained about this shot because it should have been this shot, but that's okay. You know, it works out. Uraraka still helped out the boy, so it's allowed to stay and exist here now.
I love how you talk your own self out of your complaint.
I mean, for the shot itself is fine. It's that it's in the intro, and we had no reference to this shot right here, and it's like weird, but okay, whatever.
I'll allow it.
Yeah,
Now,
I'll allow it. I'm an Uraraka stan, so it's okay.
So we already talked about Stain. We've pretty much covered everything for Core 2, so I'm excited as we wrap up. All Might way of being a hero is by officially requesting assistance from other heroes around the world. So this is a biggie because they kind of teased this idea throughout the entire of the Core. Like, should we start asking for assistance and stuff like that? And the fact that he pulls the trigger because he understands this is what he can do, right? I love the cliffhanger. Like the season ends with a shot of UA, right? But the real cliffhanger is the Avengers ending, right? like the boardroom of the UN and everybody's deliberating. And I love this shot because it doesn't just make the world that much bigger, which again also justifies the existence of My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission, that movie. But I love the idea of the politics that get in the whole Civil War argument that what if we need to save people, but we don't get permission to go, right? And these people are deliberating to not lose their power for the country. The idea that All for One is a world threat. I love that. But I also like the idea that the heroes do understand that, yes, he's a threat to the world, but the battle is in Japan. So we need to get there. You know, so it's very World War II kind of. And we do get a shout out of different heroes that we saw during World Heroes Mission. But we get the beautiful cliffhanger of a certain someone that it looks is going to kick off season 7, which is the one and only Star and Stripe, which is the US's number 1 hero.
This is such a read on America. I love it.
Yes. Now,
when
you saw her, Jamie, what was your first thought?
Yeah, I actually saw this image on Twitter before I saw the episode, and I was like, oh, okay, so something big clearly happened. But it was funny because the caption was like, this person makes me proud to be an American again. And I was like, oh, wow. I like, shit, what did she do? What did she do in this episode? America. But no, seeing her, I definitely am excited to see just how, well, first of all, she's riding a freaking jet. So I'm like, okay, there's clearly going to be some Looney Tunes stuff happening with her. So I'm excited for that. But also the fact that, you know, she was All Might's protege, which I didn't even know he was doing that for people other than Deku. I'm curious to see like what lesson she has taken from All Might. But just seeing her, I was like, I'm excited. I'm excited to see like what she's going to contribute to this battle. And her being like full, I guess, Captain America wear, if you want to say, is pretty funny. So I'm ready. I'm ready.
Cliff, drop your thoughts.
Oh, I am with Jamie 100%. I did not know this was going to happen. I didn't even know this was even an option because, again, I don't read the manga in like I don't even like partake in many conversations about my hero. Like I make my tweets and then I go going about my day, right? So when she popped up, and to bring back to Jamie's comment about the tweet about the person saying this makes me proud to be an American, I was just like, this is such a read on America because of course the president's just like, oh, we're not waiting, our hero already went there. It's like, of course,
no.
of course.
No, that's the
like,
thing. That's not the read though. He says ours already left. Like he didn't want
like it doesn't
to
even matter. Like this.
Yeah, like
that's what I'm saying. Like it's such
yeah.
a like depiction of America is like, oh, we're not even gonna wait for y'all to give us the go ahead. Like our symbol of heroism, we just going in there. We on our way. All right, we'll be there in a couple hours, but we got you covered. You know. But yeah, when that shot of just her on top of the jet, multiple jets behind her, just flying in the air,
deformation.
Just right, exactly. Information in her Superman stance. It's just like, okay, you better not die as soon as you get here, because I'm gonna be very angry.
Yeah,
if that's how this turns out. Especially since it looks like she has the powers of All Might, or to some degree. It's gonna be very depressing if she dies.
This is such a powerful way to start the season. Like whenever season 7 starts, the whole arc with Stars and Stripe is epic to say the least.
I need to ask. Do you think Horikoshi is watching female bodybuilding competitions, because he sure loves to draw his adult women bulky and muscular?
I mean, not all of them. Muscular,
Most
yes,
of
but
them.
not bulky. I think this is the first bulky superhero that we see though. Because
usually.
Yeah, all the other Mirko is just fit. Like Mirko's fit, Langat's fit, but Stars and Stripe is like bulky.
Yeah, this is like the first character.
She-Hulk.
Literally.
Right.
Oh, Jamie took it right out of my mouth. Yep.
Right. And it all spans because she's All Might. She's meant to be like this All Might figure.
Yeah.
She even got the smile down.
This is what Homelander thinks he is.
That was well done, sir.
True.
Well done. I don't know, guys. I think this is one of the best ways. Not only, I think this is one of the best teases. Like to me, some of the best teases in My Hero at the end of a season are the end of season 4 and this one. Because you have, well, actually, is it season 4? Is season 4 where we have Deku have the dream with the vestiges? Is that the end of 4 or the end of 3?
He dreams of vestiges, and Endeavor fights the high end with Hawks.
Right. So yeah, that's like one of the best cliffhangers. Season 4 and then this one. It's just so good. I can't wait. And is this the first time that we get a clear-cut announcement of season 7 at the end of a season at the end of a season?
No.
Nope. Happens every year.
Okay. I live somewhere in a corner.
The credits were different this time, though. They were very definitive of the music's playing as the show is still going. Like My Hero's never done that before. And it's like, oh, we're nearing the end here, huh? Deku has that dream of now it's your turn, which we didn't talk about, but my God, All For One is scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he wakes up like this and it has you got the little venom thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
No
scary.
comment.
Oh, and last thing I'll say about Star and Stripe, in regards to like all those like nerdy things and whatnot, this is like Stars and Stripe for me is one of those characters where as soon as she pops up, I want a figure. Like the moment an announcement happens, I need a Star and Stripe on my shelf.
She's 100% merchandise
now.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see like the Funko Pops, Cliff. I also collect, and I'm like, you know what? That would be a nice one to have.
You know, I don't know why, but I kind of want the Endeavor plushie, the one that Hawks has.
Oh, did they not have that as a real thing?
They probably do
that.
But I would go. I would go for that. I would go for that.
Probably is in Japan.
People don't
Yeah,
like
probably.
Endeavor here. They're not going to sell too much Endeavor merch.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to sell
Probably.
merch for a terrible father.
Nah, Goku.
Hey,
sells.
tell that to exactly. Goku sells all the time.
Goku sells.
Hey, Budokai Tenkaichi.
That's
coming back.
fair.
Yeah.
We're gonna retread that story one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Run it back. But yeah, I love Star coming. I love that she's just Lafayette. She's coming with guns and ships. Battle's about to shift.
Yes,
It's insane.
Yes. 100.
Number 2 Hamilton reference.
Yes, and it's totally valid. I don't know, the references have been fire this entire episode. I'm proud of everybody.
Before we go, I just want to point out that Uraraka has to sleep with mittens, otherwise she's going to make her entire room float, and I think that's hilarious. Background details are just so funny.
I never even thought.
I
about
never
that.
thought about that.
That's crazy. What if they
Dude,
accidentally slip off? You know,
Well, yeah.
I'm a pretty wild sleeper. Like I usually sleep with a scarf, and by the time I wake up, it's like halfway on, halfway off. So my room would be floating all the time.
Right? Don't you need like night gloves? Pretty much.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and you strap them on.
Strap 'em on.
So, guys, I think we've done the thing. We've talked My Hero Academia, Cour Season 6, Cour 2. We've reviewed the season. We've had a phenomenal conversation. Amazing references. This video is a wrap. I'm very excited. This has been fun, guys. I love when the Amateur Otaku gets together and we have good friends come back and talk awesome anime. You know where to find Jamie, Mike, Brandon. I'm Brandon. And Isaac. We're the Amateur Otaku Crew. Our links are in the description. You know where to find us. But Cliff, where can people find you, man? And whatever you're up to.
Oh, as usual, you can find me at Cliff Cinema, and you can find me on YouTube and Spotify, Anchor, on the Splash Podcast. Our video for My Hero Academia is coming out because we've decided to just start reviewing animes as well. And yeah, that's about it. The usual, so check that out. You can put I'm sure Mike will put a link to it somewhere. If not, I'll send him all the links that he'll need and whatnot. But yeah, you can find me on those platforms.
I gotta say, until we gave you this one shot, I didn't appreciate the flip off Infinity Gauntlet in the background. It's 100% precious, and it's funny because if Tony Stark had the option of doing the snap, just
he
like
would have flipped off
flipping
Thanos.
off. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's 100% on brand.
That's exactly why I did
you guys-
that same thought.
Did you guys know that the original, like one of the drafts for that scene was instead of saying "I am Iron Man," he was supposed to say "fuck you" and then snap.
I am not surprised. After the shawarma, I can see the. So, guys, if you love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, where we talk anime, manga, series, make sure you click on that like button. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share the video with your friends. Comment below. Let us know your favorite thoughts of My Hero Academia and what other shows you would like us to cover. If we see recommendations, trust me, we'll cover them.
Yep.
Stay awesome,
Tokyo
guys.
Avengers is ending soon, so I definitely need some recommendations.
Yes, we need to figure out what to watch. I just finished Tomo-chan. All I'm gonna say is this: even though nobody might believe it, and maybe nobody will get to the end of this video for me to hear this, but I'm in chapter 610 of One Piece.
Oh,
I am
wow.
almost 60% in, and I am enjoying the hell out
Proud.
of it. And it's amazing.
I'm so proud.
That's wow.
But
You are
guys
far
are
more
awesome.
brave than the rest of us.
I have gone
I
And,
commend you.
where no otaku
I'm up
has
to
gone.
speed with One Piece.
So, but you've been reading it as it comes out. That's a different story. Have it
Yeah,
awesome,
fair
guys.
enough.
Be awesome.
Go beyond.
Plus ultra.
Indra.
If I'm